Hello, hello. This is Abel Pacheco, your host for the Five Talents podcast. We are super excited and really blessed to have another amazing guest. Rich, how's it going, man? Mr. Rich Fettke.
It's going great. Good to be here. Looking forward to this interview. Yeah.
Yeah, I appreciate it, man. I'm super excited, to have you on a show. What a phenomenal guest and an opportunity to interview someone who's got a lot of experience, a lot of proven success in their space. And if you don't know Rich Fettke, you need to Google him and put in the wise investor. Google Kathy Fettke. They're just amazing couple. You can Google Rich Fettke, Rich Dad Author. Any number of items will come up with Rich because he's done a lot of amazing things. Really since 2003, they've helped over 60,000 of his members improve some financial intelligence. So we'll hopefully talk a little bit about that. And he was selected as a Rich Dad author. And I think most of our audience knows the Rich Dad Poor Dad. He's just done some phenomenal things. Author, coach, an international coach federation, VP, served in that area. And man, I'm just excited because, he's hopefully we'll hear a little bit about it, but featured on USA Today, Entrepreneur Magazine, Wall Street Journal, et cetera, et cetera. I better slow down here because I'm getting too excited, Rich. But
I like it.
in your own words, please tell us, who you are and what you do, and we'll start a great conversation here, man.
Awesome. Looking forward to it. Yeah. Kathy and I started our company 20 years ago. This is our 20th anniversary in 2003. And it was really out of desperation. We had not done much in real estate. We owned our primary residence that we house hacked, and we had people living downstairs there to make ends meet. I was a business coach, motivational speaker, and had just signed my first book deal with Simon & Schuster, and then was diagnosed with melanoma, which is a skin cancer, which is not the worst thing. You can get surgery, but they thought that it had spread to my liver, and they gave me 6 months to live. And so for 3 months, I didn't know that I was going to survive. And after multiple tests, thank goodness, the doctor's diagnosis was wrong. The CT scans that showed 4 masses on my liver were not cancer. It was just little clusters of blood vessels. But waiting for those tests over 3 months and not knowing if I was going to be alive, that was the impetus for Kathy, my wife, who was a stay-at-home mom at the time, to look for a way to make ends meet if I died. So she sought out mentors. Those mentors told her about real estate investing, and that is what she said, this is what I can do, is start investing in real estate and make real estate my career. And when the doctors gave me the diagnosis that I was cancer-free, after we celebrated, we continued on that journey. And we went to north of Dallas, Texas, a little town called Rockwall, Texas, and we bought 5 investment properties. We were living in the San Francisco Bay Area at the time. And that was our start into real estate investing. And it was going well. We were loving it, and we had friends and family, and Kathy had a little radio show in San Francisco, more of a hobby show focused on coaching. But she started to have people say, how are you doing this? How are you living in the San Francisco Bay Area and buying properties in Texas? It was kind of unheard of at the time. And so we just formed what we thought would be a little group of people, maybe 100 people, that we would help invest and show them how we did it and what we did. And that group now today, we just found out that now it has surpassed over 70,000 members today. So yeah, the old bio that you have for me there, about 60,000, it's growing fast. And so we've helped a lot of people create financial freedom in their own lives, which has been just a blessing, so that curse of the melanoma and that diagnosis has really turned into a blessing.
Man, it's so many times, we hear on our show, there's some big impetus, some big factor, some big, event. Sometimes it's financial. I lost my job. I lost my house, my car, and I had to make a move. And every once in a while, it's a deeper situation. And that deep moment for you was, man, that was the life scare. And I can imagine her and you having to deal with it, but that was the big cause. And like you said, blessing. Thank you. Thank God that you're here, man. And
thank
been
you.
an opportunity and a blessing for a bunch of others because of that.
Yeah. So that company, what we do now at Real Wealth is we educate. We've always been like the anti-guru from day one. We didn't want to be the cheesy RIA groups that have the back of the room sales and the guru hawking his old program. So we decided right from the beginning that we would not charge for our events. We wouldn't charge for our education. And what we do is we help people get into investment properties. Not so much multifamily. We've just focused, we picked our lane and we focused on single family, 1 to 4 units. We syndicate developments, residential developments, but the bread and butter of our business is helping people get into 1 to 4 unit investment properties around the country. So we have property teams in 19 different emerging markets, and we refer our members to those property teams so they can build their own portfolio. Kind of a getting started place for a lot of people. A lot of people build a portfolio of 10 to 20 properties, and then they graduate and they want to go on to multifamily or become an LP or something like that.
Yeah, that's great. It's good stuff. And every time I think I've heard your wife talk, a lot of data, a lot of analysis, a lot of, just really good insights. And I would encourage, anybody listening, go Google her, and she's on a number of podcasts and interviews and things like that as well. So get into Rich's world, get into Kathy's world. Real Wealth sounds like an amazing, avenue for those that are interested in learning more on the how to do it. Right. So, Rich, maybe you can walk us through, so you've had a ton of success today, the author of The Wise Investor. You have a new book that I want to talk about as well. But, in the past, what type of upbringing did you have? Were you, were your parents or Kathy and y'all's parents, were they entrepreneurs? Were they just hardworking, everyday people? Were they, how did you grow up? Did you talk about money? Did you talk about real estate investing? Was it out of the blue? How did you grow up? And you'd love to know the mindset of, what you're doing now.
Absolutely. That's a great question. Kathy's dad was a dentist in the San Francisco Bay Area. So he was made a decent income, stay-at-home mom, her mom, they had 5 kids. So she didn't really come from big money, just, upper middle class. But they never invested in any rental properties. Her mom wanted to, but her dad, like old school dad, was just like, no, we're not going to do that. What do you know about money? Which is kind of sad. My dad was an engineer for General Electric jet engines. So he made about the same type of salary as Kathy's dad. We were upper middle class, super grateful for that. My parents, same thing. They didn't invest in rental properties. What they did is they would buy a home. They bought their first home, and my dad was really good with his hands. So he would do all the rehabbing, fix the home up, live in it for a few years, and then sell it and upgrade. And so they kept getting nicer and nicer homes, but they never did anything to create passive income. No money coming in, from any sources besides General Electric. And, my dad doing overtime and double overtime to make ends meet. So did not grow up with any type of real estate investing. And like I was saying, and finally when Kathy and I got married, I grew up in Boston. When I moved from Boston in 95, I met Kathy about 6 months later, and we got married pretty quick after 9 months. We just knew it was right. And then we bought our first investment property after about a year of being married. Not an investment property, it was a regular property. It was our first home. And that's the one that we converted, and we house hacked way back then. It was 1997, I think, that we bought that house. And so we learned how to be landlords, and we're like, oh, this is kind of cool. It's like we can have this big, it was a $4,000 mortgage, and it was a big mortgage to us at the time, but to be able to subsidize that with renters downstairs was eye-opening, if you will.
Yeah. Well, that's great. So, fast forward back to today, you give our audience just a little glimpse of what type of transactions, what type of deals, volume, numbers of properties you've done. Because when you say, "Oh, I'm a single family real estate investor," we do some deals, right? For years and years, have done some deals enough to land you, a lot of radio show, TV appearances, NPR. You've worked with clientele from across, the board. tell us a little bit about what that volume is, like hundreds, thousands, et cetera, et cetera. Just, I don't,
Sure, absolutely.
in
That's a
case.
great question. You know, it's really wild to look back on it. Just when I was just reflecting with a friend yesterday, he goes, "Do you ever like pinch yourself to realize what you've accomplished and everything?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm totally grateful." The other day, I was outside and I was just looking at the view from our home, and I was like, I imagine meeting my 25-year-old self and saying, "Hey, dude, this is your life in the future. Look around. This is your home. That's your wife. You know, this is your business." So I am super grateful for it. It's been a lot of hard work, but it's numbers wise, we've helped investors purchase over 6,000 properties over the years that we've been in business, and it's picked up momentum over the years. And that equates to about $1.2 billion in real estate assets. So looking at it that way, it's like, Kathy and I have our own portfolio. We walk the talk and we invest in single families and 1 to 4. We just bought a duplex last weekend and on Palm Coast of Florida. So it's just, we keep doing it. We believe in it. But what really stokes us is helping other people create real wealth. And we called our company Real Wealth because it's not just about wealth. It's not just about money. It's about having the money and the freedom to live life on your own terms. That was our stake in the ground from day one. We're like, we're going to help people improve all areas of their life. And money is usually a huge part to be able to do that. So that was our commitment since day one. And we're very holistic in our approach to wealth building.
Yeah. So $1 billion of transactions, 6,000, deals, and helping other people achieve as well. What a great run, brother. And
it's been a great run.
if I can, kind of think about it, maybe in a term that other people, could really understand. So I know you've been a coach, a certified coach. I'd love to hear just a little bit about it too, because a lot of what it took to accomplish what you have and help others, you've been not only able to get over your fears, doubts, obstacles, concerns, all the things you've been able to overcome, build some systems, build some processes. And a lot of this is mindset, right? Like, I can do this. I can create. I can imagine what I can imagine I'm going to make happen. And then helping all of those other people do it that have been part of your organization. I'm sure that's a lot of management for their mindset, their psychology, their overcoming their fears, doubts, worries, and concerns. So knowing that you were, certified coach and you've led and done these things, man, I don't want to confine you into a specific answer. Just give us some insight on these things that we're talking about.
I mean, coaching has been a game changer for my life, for Kathy's life. We met in a personal development workshop. We signed up for this 3-month program, and separately, we didn't know each other. And it was, you set 3 goals, 2 professional goals and 1 personal goal for 3 months. And you have a coach in that program. And my person I was supposed to be teamed up with, you get teamed up with a buddy, they call it in this program. The guy that I was supposed to be teamed up with ended up flaking. And so everyone was paired up and everyone had someone to partner with, and except for me. And so the facilitator said, I'm going to team you up, Rich, we're going to do 3. So we're going to Rich, Kathy, and Trisha. So I was teamed up with these 2 women, and one of them I fell in love with and ended up being my wife. So coaching has been big since day one in a relationship.
From the get-go, you're like, coaching changed my life.
It did. Literally changed my life. And then I enrolled in a coach training certification that took about a year and a half with the Coaches Training Institute. They're the largest accredited nonprofit coach training organization in the world. And they were one of the first back in 1996. So soon after Kathy and I met, I enrolled in this coaching certification. I used to own a health club when I was 23. I started that when I was 23. I ran it till I was 30 and sold it before I moved out from Boston to California. And I just wanted to do something different than fitness. I was totally into personal development. And I saw this ad for coaching, and it was like, do you like helping people reach their dreams and their goals? Do you love business and personal growth? I'm like, yes, that's me. And so I signed up for this program and I went through it. And Kathy started to notice how my communication skills improved so much that she's like, oh, okay, I don't want to be left behind. So she enrolled and she went through the 1.5 year coaching certification. So she's also a certified coach. And that's what we did, honestly, for, probably 10 years. We were both coaching clients. Like I was saying before, I was speaking, giving keynotes, writing books, audio programs. And so that is what we did before real estate. And we wove all of those coaching skills, absolutely, like you were saying, into coaching our team, coaching the people in our business as we grew our company from 2 employees to now 20. And then we also have probably about 30 independent contractors. So it's those coaching skills really pay off to find out what's getting in people's way. And, as humans, we are our own worst enemies. We get in our own way. We have this gremlin in our head that tells us we can't do it, we're not enough, and it all comes from different sources. But everyone I've ever coached, even the most successful billionaires, they all have this gremlin in their head that tells them crap, So that's the wealth mindset thing, is like, how do you get in between that conversation between this little gremlin and your true wiser self? And that's where the coaching pays off big time. And I think that's helped our members at RealWealth a lot as well.
Yeah, that little freaking gremlin, that's the
Right.
self-doubt, the fear, the uncertainty, and it really can hamper a lot of the forward progress, a lot of the activity, a lot of the actions. You think you have this amazing idea, I want to act on it, and why does an action occur? Well, that little guy keeps saying, hey, you can't, you're not good enough, you're just going to fail, everyone's going to laugh, whatever it is, and it's just to overcome it. So on that point, how, give us some tactical here. How do people overcome that? Like what's a couple steps that we can take?
I mean, on your own, it's tough. I mean, what I do for that gremlin is I'll often just notice what physical signs. So I'm very aware of it. Like when I'm clenching my jaw, when I am getting antsy and feeling overwhelmed, when I'm jumping from project to project, that's usually a sign that my gremlin is there making up stories, getting that adrenaline going, the negative adrenaline where I'm just like stressed out. So that's a sign for me. It's almost like a alert on your dashboard of your car, the red light goes off. For me, that's the red light. And it's like, warning, your gremlin might be present right now. So I'll just stop. And one of the best things we can do is to breathe. It just dig deep breath down into your belly. It physiologically changes things. It affects the vagus nerve that runs down from your base of your skull all the way down to your gut. And it increases your heart rate variability. It affects your prefrontal cortex, and it slows things down. It brings you into your parasympathetic nervous system. So you actually calm down and you get more grounded instead of being run by the adrenaline. So that's the biggest thing. It's like recognizing the gremlin when it's there, or when you're stressed out, taking a really deep breath, or even better, 3 deep breaths and big, long exhales. And then just ask yourself, hey, gremlin, what do you need right now? Because the gremlin's like, it's doing its best job to protect you. It's been with you ever since you were little, and it's protected you from embarrassment, from failure, from pain, from all these things. So it's really your protector. It's doing its best job to protect you, but sometimes it overprotects. So when you check in with it and you say, hey, gremlin, what do you need right now? What's going on? So often that subconscious mind will say, I need this. I need you to learn more about this, or I need you to get some support and some help here. And it will often give an answer. So that's the way I love to do it on my own. And I realize that it's very difficult to do that on your own. So I still have my coach. I have a coach I talk to every other Friday. And I have for years. I've had my own coach, not different coaches over the years, but for the past 20 years, 25 years now, I've had a coach that I talk to who can really hold up the mirror, have me look at a different perspective, kind of help call out my gremlin or whatever that limiting belief is. So it's so hard to do it on our own, but having a coach to facilitate that, a skilled coach, a trained coach, is a game changer. It's a total game changer.
Yeah, for sure. I can relate, and I'm resonating with a lot of what you're saying for sure. As soon as you said, take a deep breath, I remembered more than a few people have told me that on the show, actually. And I was like, I'm going to take a deep breath right now. And you go, take a deep breath. I go, yeah, that's exactly what everyone is.
Yeah, I'm doing it right now. It's always good. Right?
It definitely helps. Once, twice, three times. You
Hmm.
know what new that you've said? I don't think I've ever heard. Let's check in with it and ask what it needs,
Hmm.
and viewing it as a protector. That part is new. So I'm listening to the first time, and I appreciate you sharing because that there's something that it has been protecting you from all your life. Hey, be careful with this, be careful with that. This is and really, in our innate physiology, our beings or whatever. It's like, man, like, save me from these things, and it has. But the overprotection part is the part that keeps you from making these moves or making these next steps. And
Totally.
I
Hmm.
love checking in with it, man. That's great. What do you
Right
need?
on. Yeah, it works really well.
That's great. Well, thank you very much for sharing again. And out of all the people that you've worked with, 70,000. I'm sure that at this point you have systems and processes and things built in
Yeah.
scale where you're not having these individual conversations. But I know there's no way you can work with 70,000 people and not have these deep, meaningful conversations. What is the maybe one or two things that you recognize the most, the trends or patterns, or that with all those people that say, hey, this the most successful people that we work with, they do these things over and over again.
Mm,
These are a trend, this is a pattern, and maybe you could illuminate a little bit what those things are for our audience.
absolutely. And the most successful investors that we've seen are the most focused investors, and they're people who work on their focus, and that focus means focusing out into the future and also coming back to today. So how do you can stay focused? So it's really, they're people with a very clear vision. When you say, what do you want? They're like, I want to have this many doors, or I want this much monthly cash flow coming in, or I want my net worth to be this, or all of the above. Is the most successful investors are very clear on that personal financial statement, where they want it to be in 1 year, in 3 years, in 5 years, in 10 years, in 20 years. Those are the investors who are very clear and focused on what they want. And then they come back and they create those systems and structures like you were just talking about, as far as how do I get there? How do I get there on a regular basis? Because, it's not that hard to come up with the dream and the vision, right? For some people it is, but it can, I've met a lot of people who have a clear vision of where they want to go, but they haven't taken the work and done the work to be like, how am I going to get there? And that's when the self-discipline comes in. So it's coming up with the game plan of, okay, if this is where I want to be in 20 years, where do I need to be in 10? Where do I need to be in 3? And where do I need to be this year? And then coming back to, what are my milestones? What am I going to accomplish this year? And being very clear at the start of each year of, I'm going to buy this many doors, or I'm going to acquire this many properties, or I'm going to raise my net worth 20%, or whatever it might be, setting those really clear goals and then breaking it down to what needs to happen this quarter, what needs to happen this month, what needs to happen this week. It's those are the investors who really succeed. They're the ones who are intentional about their investing and about their goals.
Yeah, the intentionality, so important. As you're talking, I could share some of the areas for me, and what we're working on now is we're like our multi-generational project plan, and these are kind of exactly what Rich is talking about. It's that this is where you're at currently, and the current target kind of properties, our current product offering to our investors, our
Mm,
current customer experience. What do our investors see? What do our tenants see today? And what tools, technology are we leveraging, and what people and resources do I have today? So as I'm looking at this multi-generational project plan, you look at just today, well, where do we want to get to 3 years from now? And then I
mhm.
go, okay, well, if I want to be here 3 years, this is where I'm at today, is where I'm at for 3 years. What do I need to put together in year two, in year one? And I'm trying to break it down Q2, Q3, Q4 from here to there.
Awesome.
The more clear that is it's like this is the direction we're headed, and we're engineering
Yeah.
it, right?
So many people don't take the time to do that. Most people don't. I would say 80% of the people don't really take the time, like, to focus on that, to really invest several days to lay out the plan, and then invest a day every single week, especially if you're investing with your spouse or your business partner. It's really, having that weekly same page meeting, if you will, where you like sit down and say, where are we? How are we doing? Are we on track? Are we off track? If we're off track, what are we going to do? It's the little things, the little daily actions and weekly actions that add up to make that huge difference over time. But most people don't take the time to do that. They're working it. They get busy. They use busyness as an excuse to not doing that. But honestly, laying out the game plan and then following through on it, it's kind of simple, really.
Yeah. You have all the things tingling right now. And on my hairs, on my neck, I'm like, I'd be amiss if I didn't mention, right? So I've been reading this book with my wife, which is what don't let me forget, Rich. I want to talk about you and your wife, because me and my wife are working together, and I would love to have that insight for the couples. So we'll get back to that one in a second. But I've been reading this book right now with her, and it's a complete conversations with God. It's by Neil Donald Walsh, and the time spent in conversation. You mentioned something earlier that I was like, man, be still and know that I am the Lord, and be still, know that I'm God. At some point, it's like that breath when we're checking in. It's like, let me just pause, take a breath, take a moment, regroup, and that vision that we want to create, right? If some people want financial freedom on $10,000 a month, some people want X number of doors, some people want more time with their children, right? What are those things? The intentionality, it's here's the vision, now let's make a plan, now let's go execute. And another part I keep thinking about is, for those that have done that, you've dreamt it, you believe that you put it on paper. Rich, I'm sure you've also failed a bunch of times. Like you didn't let a misstep stop you from going after. Oh man, I made a ton of mistakes, and I'm like, oh, why did I do that over and over and over again? Why did I do that? Why did I do that? And I think the difference is, like, we just got to keep going, right?
Yeah. There's winners and learners, right? And I try to focus on that. And it's like, yeah, we've definitely had our challenges, we've had our losses. And something you just said that really hit home for me too is it's more than just in that vision setting and goal setting process. I kind of talked about the tactical part of it, but the bigger thing is also the why. They're like, what do we want and why? What's the outcome? Why do we want these doors? Why do we want this monthly cash flow? What does it look like? So it's like really creating that compelling vision. So when things get tough, when you have a loss or whatever it might be, as you're going to, as an investor, that's what investing is all about. And it's like, you're going to take some risks, it's just the way it is. And so when you have that loss, instead of like beating yourself up or saying, I'm not going to get there, it's like, okay, what did I learn from this? And how does this tie in? And I'm in having that compelling vision. That's like the big neon sign in the swamp. When you get mucked down and you're feeling stuck, you look up ahead and you're like, oh yeah, that's where I want to go. So I think that is absolutely vital. That's why there's a whole chapter in my book, in Wise Investor, about getting clear on his vision, really.
Yeah, it's great. Let's trying to be conscious of time. Rich, I don't want to take more time than we have. Let's talk about your book. I'd love to, hear any of the insight with you and about you and your wife and y'all's working relationships. I don't know if you have any of this in there. What's your book about? What's the latest? Where to go see it? All that good stuff, man. Tell
okay, awesome. Yeah, let me start with Kathy and me working together, because I think that's really big. Kathy and I just had a couples retreat with 5 couples at our home here in Malibu. And it was amazing. And just, ramping up for that, thinking, what do we want to bring to these couples? How can we really make a difference in their lives? And it worked out incredibly well. It was just awesome for everyone. Everyone rated a 10, which kind of blew my mind at the end. We asked for a rating of 0 to 10. But the biggest lessons for me, number one, is communication. And as men, the big thing is really finding out, do you fully understand your wife, your woman? It's like we tend to assume that we know what they're thinking, but really asking them and then repeating back, do I fully understand you? Here's what I'm understanding, and actually sharing it. A great book that I'd recommend is The Way of the Superior Man. The Way of the Superior Man by David Data. It's so good about the masculine and feminine energy. And it's been a game changer for Kathy and me in our relationship, because it's really shown me how to better understand the feminine energy and be more understanding. Just be more of a superior man, I guess, is a great way to look at it. And
I'm hitting it on Audible right now, and I'm waiting because me and my wife share an account. She's gonna go, "Oh, the superior man." Huh? I'm gonna go, "No, baby, it's about helping with you."
She'll be, yeah. And the reader of it, the audio he's great. He's got an amazing narration voice. He's awesome. And then I'd say the last piece on that, I mean, there's so many lessons, but the biggest thing is really getting clear on what your strengths are, your unique abilities. And I'm sure you've done this with your wife, or I hope you have. It's like, what is it that you bring to your partnership, and what does she bring? And don't try to do the same job. So it's like, be very clear in your role, what you do, and she's very clear in her role and what she does, based on your strengths, what you're good at, what you love to do, what you love to learn. That's your unique ability, to really focus on that and let her focus on her unique ability. And don't try to step into her realm and do what she's doing, and she doesn't do that to you. I think that's a huge one to avoid conflict.
Yeah, that's great tactical advice, and great advice for not only our businesses but just our relationships in general. So love it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Cool.
Well,
and then the book. So
tell us
I'll
about
hit on
your
the
book,
real
man.
quick.
Tell us about your
It's
book.
called The Wise Investor. It came out several months ago. Like you said, it's from Rich Dad Advisors Press. Robert Kiyosaki even wrote the forward for me, which I was grateful for. He wrote a great forward. But it's a parable. It's a modern parable. So it's a story, kind of like The Alchemist or Richest Man in Babylon or The Go-Giver, that
Great
type
reads.
of book.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it tells the story of this guy, Ryan Brooks. He's kind of a struggling family man. He's working really hard in his job, but he's working so many hours to get ahead and to make ends meet that he doesn't have any time for his wife or his kids or his life. And then he meets this wise mentor, the wise investor, who shows him a new way to financial freedom. And of course, it's through real estate investing, but he really gives him these key lessons about building wealth and growing wealth, getting things on track, creating that clear vision of where he wants to go, how to be a better husband with his wife, how to be a better dad. He gets in better shape. So it kind of shows his journey over a five-year period. And so it's an engaging read. I wanted a story because it emotionalizes information. It takes this information that not just like a nonfiction book, which was my first book. It takes it, puts it into a story. So it's a page turner. A lot of people have told me that they read it all in one sitting because they've so bought into the story and they wanted to see where it went. But then at the end of the story, you walk away with some of these key core lessons about how to build real wealth, how to live life on your own terms, how to invest in real estate. So I'm super happy with it, really happy with the book, and honestly, really happy with the feedback I've gotten on it.
I'm hitting yours up too on Audible, brother. So thank you very much. Thank you.
That was a fun read. I narrated that one, and I had to take some voice acting classes first because there's 10 different characters. So I had to voice the voices of older people, women, children, all that. It was a blast.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, I'm excited, man. And last few minutes here, for those that want to be in your world, of those that want to get closer to who you are, what you do, and how you're doing it, who do you want to reach out to, and where should they go to get connected to you?
I mean, for the book, Amazon or any major bookseller, it's everywhere. So, but if you go on Amazon or Audible, you can pick that up, The Wise Investor. And to reach me on social media, it's just really simple, just at Rich Fettke, RichFettke on social media. And then probably the easiest way for people to connect and learn and get a lot of our resources is RealWealth. So it's just realwealth.com. And that's where we have almost 1,000 webinars recorded. We have tons of blog articles and research and honestly access to investment properties around the country. So if someone's looking for single family 1 to 4 unit investment properties, we are definitely the place to go.
Cool. Well, thank you very much. Well, Rich, I know we've talked about a number of topics. Is there anything else that we just didn't I didn't get to ask that you're hoping, or any last words of wisdom or nuggets that you want to share with the audience, man. Time is yours and floor is yours, and would love to
Oh,
have any
I
last
would say
parting words here.
the last thing I would share is like, it's just what I share from the stage all the time. It's just my belief that when we get better, everything around us gets better. So often people are focused on looking for the information or the tactical advice and all that. And that's all good. But the most important thing we can do is work on ourselves. I've learned that from coaching, and I've learned it in my own life. And so it's about becoming a better version of yourself. How can you learn more? How can you grow more? How can you get in better shape? How can you be a better husband, like we were talking about, a better parent? Always growing and learning to become a better version of yourself. And then all of a sudden, life just starts to get better in all areas, financially, physically, love-based, all that stuff. So that would be my most important message.
All right. Well, amen. Praise God, bro. I'm excited.
Right
Thank you
on.
very much, Rich, for your time. And I really appreciate it, sharing a little bit with us, and sincerely. So on behalf of our Five Talents audience and guests, we want to say thank you.
Thank
Also
you.
to our Five Talents podcast guests and subscribers, thank you very much. The subscription numbers continue to grow, so I appreciate it. Leave us some written comments, would be awesome. Go connect with Rich in his world. Let him know that you heard about him on our podcast. I'd be blessed as well. And we just want to say thank you to our sponsors. Appreciate it. All the hard work over there at Anderson Advisors, and look forward to it. So, Rich, thank you so much.